Hi guys, it's Debbie, and today I would like to speak about The Great Wall, a disappointing but visually stunning monster film directed by Zhang Yimou. The film opens with a group of European men travelling across China nearly 1,000 years ago, searching for a mysterious substance, black powder, simple gunpowder, but which at the time was considered an absolute innovation. The men are unknowingly travelling very close to the Great Wall of China, and the movie explains that there are various stories concerning this enormous wall, some of which are real and some of which are legends, such as the one depicted in this film. The once large group of travelling men is assaulted, and only two of them, portrayed by Matt Damon and Pedro Pascal, survive. Their quest then brings them to the Great Wall of China, which is heavily guarded by hundreds of soldiers. No, actually they stumble upon the Great Wall, because that's what you do. You just stumble upon a gigantic wall which is thousands of kilometers long, heavily guarded, and obviously exactly in the point in which the Nameless Order is located. From this point onwards there will be some spoilers concerning the plot, so I would recommend watching the film before you continue watching this video. So the soldiers defending the Great Wall are not part of an ordinary army. On the contrary, they are a highly skilled special division which has to protect the Chinese Empire by the attack of the Taotian, vicious alien-looking monsters which attack every 60 years. The Taotian mostly resemble dinosaurs, lizards, and they are very vicious. They attack in huge groups, devour flesh to then feed their queen, the only Taotia which can reproduce. So most of the film concerns the Nameless Order fighting against the Taotia, helped by the two foreign, which are highly trained in combat after years of working as mercenaries. So this could actually sound like a good premise to a monster movie. So Chinese soldiers fighting in an extremely choreographed manner, huge alien dinosaur lizard monsters, lavish costumes, breathtaking shots of the Great Wall of China. But then there were a series of flaws which completely ruined the film. First of all, the film is a visual feast. There are beautiful images of the Great Wall submerged in fog. The Chinese soldiers are all perfectly colour-coded and fight with exceptional grace. There are scenes of lanterns let off into the dark night sky. But then we meet the Taotia, the monsters. The first minutes of the film created tension with the cut limb, so we were all very curious of knowing what would be popping over the edge of the Great Wall. But instead we all boarded the disappointment train. The scenes in which the Taotia attacked were supposed to be epic shots of a horde of alien monsters viciously attacking the Great Wall, but instead it was a blurry mass of green dots. And when we had close-ups of the creatures, their features were over-familiar. There was something way too familiar about their lizard bodies, the symbols on their forehead, and this heavily decreased the scare factor. The whole of the Great Wall instead was a modern CGI canvas, but with anachronistic monsters from a decade ago running around. If they had been replaced with an army of men, the story would have probably been more realistic, easier to convey, interesting, and probably even more visually breathtaking. But monsters are cooler. Also, there were all a series of plot holes concerning these monsters. First of all, why do they only appear every 60 years? And how do they feed if the flesh they bite is then given to their queen? And then again, how exactly does this queen reproduce and spawn all these creatures? Also, if I'm not mistaken, the Taotia are created by the queen but are not connected to her in any other way. But at the end of the film, when the queen is killed, all the Taotia immediately fall to their death, where in reality they should have just stopped responding to her communications, as they do when they are close to a magnet. In general, I'm just not sure about what the film is really trying to tell us. It hints at the foreign men's past, then it cuts to Willem Dafoe's mysterious character, then it jumps to Commander Lin Mai's ambitions, then to the greatness of the Empire, then back to the quest for the black powder. Then it distracts us with some absurd hyper-choreographed army formation. So we get to see just snippets of each character, and at the same time we don't even get to the whole idea of the film. It was just a jumble of storylines which ended in a visually stunning but highly improbable ending, but hey, it's a legend. In general, the film put visual beauty before a strong plot. What is the logic behind ending the film in a beautiful glass building, or focusing on the crane troops acrobatic or the Power Ranger level colour coding, when there are important elements which lack coherence or which are just not explained? For example, the film gives more importance to hinting at a possible love connection between Lin Mai and William, rather than explaining how a magnet can stop the Tao Tie's communications, or how a Chinese-speaking soldier, Peng Yang, suddenly understands English. Zhang Yimou is known for being a visionary artist. His works have been nominated for Oscars. He has won awards at various film festivals, including Cannes and Venice. He directed the opening and closing Beijing ceremony, and I think even part of the Athens ceremony. But you can pack a film with as much beauty as you want, but like in this case, without a solid plot and decent action, the audience will leave with just a wow and a yawn. In general, the film has received terrible reviews, and the earnings have been disappointing if we rule out the Chinese market, where it was highly successful. So I think this general disappointment was due to a lack of a strong plot, a series of uncoordinated storylines which didn't encourage curiosity but which left the audience with too many questions, and a disappointed main character which was this month's poster boy but which only blurted out a couple of lines while staring into the fog. I must say this scheme reminded me a lot of Independence Day Resurgence, where we were presented with an infinite number of minor and incomplete storylines, a ridiculous enemy, and one boring main character which obviously saved the day. Matt Damon was presented as the stereotypical Western standard alpha male, ready to save the situation, but instead he just stared into the mist, wondering about his past, which is never really explained to us. Willem Dafoe stiffly delivers a couple of lines, but we are just interested in his character because he is Willem Dafoe. And again, we know hardly anything about his character. Out of all the actors, if I was forced, I would probably and unexpectedly choose Jing Tian, which portrayed Commander Lin Mai and which we will also see in the upcoming film Kong Skull Island, and Pedro Pascal, which I had appreciated in Narcos. So none of the big poster names, but still Jing Tian's staring and Pedro Pascal's groan-worthy jokes weren't that much better. I'm starting to think that The Great Wall would have been more interesting and funny if it had been really bad. Like, really, really bad. Like absurd CGI, ridiculous love stories, giant Godzilla-sized Queen Tao Tie's ridiculous martial arts bad. Let me know what you thought about The Great Wall with a comment here below, and make sure to subscribe for many more movie-related videos. See you soon, bye!